what we're gonna do is we're gonna buff Blitzcrank, we're gonna buff Soraka, we're gonna buff AD Yumi.
Okay. Well, now the cameras are rolling. So we should probably get to our talk.
Okay.
So we're here to talk about Midscopes today. My name is Tim. I'm a designer on the Summoner's Rift team. I've done a few Midscopes in the past, like Syndra, Swain, and a long time ago, Rammus, and I'm here with my friends.
I'm Ezra. I'm also a designer on the Summoner's Rift team. I do item balance systems, that kind of thing. Previously, I worked on Rengar.
I've done a few Midscopes in the past, like Syndra, Swain, and a long time ago, Rammus.
Balance systems, that kind of thing. Previously, I worked on Rengar as a Midscope, and I'm currently working on Nico.
I'm August. I'm the lead champion designer, and Midscopes I've worked on is most recently Jax, and then before that, Talia.
And the first question we have to answer, which I'm sure is on a lot of players' minds, is what is a Midscope, and what sets it apart from balance work, VGUs, CGUs, ASUs, ABCs, whatever, letters, all that stuff.
Probably the best way to say it, like in a big summary, is VGU, Visual Gameplay Update, is kind of like a new champion. A Midscope is like refreshing a champion. So with the VGU, like say what we did with Pantheon or Aurelia, you got a very new champion. Out of that, you got new animations, new sounds, new VO, new kit, and that's an important part. Whereas a Midscope is a lot more about refreshing a current character for its current players.
In its essence, it's taking the fantasy of a character. We're not making a new character, we're not making a new fantasy, and making it a 12 out of 10. Like, how far can we push this so that players feel like, oh, for Swain, I'm this huge demon bird that can be in the middle of their team. Or for Talia, that I'm actually an Earthweaver, and I'm not punished by using my Q.
And then the second part about Midscopes that's really important here is that because they're on lower scope in terms of work, they're on shorter timelines. Some only take like 1 or 2 months, and which means we can get them out a lot faster.
So how do we go about finding a good target for a Midscope, right? Because there's a lot of different projects we do. What defines how we find a target for VGU versus random patchwork that me and Ezra do on a 2-week basis?
When a character feels like they
I want to have fun, and she's not letting me, right?
Whoa, back up.
The way I see it is, for the most part, it's strong passion for a character. Someone who's like deeply involved with the character, deeply interested in the character's success. They understand the character. You know, some of these characters have been live for years and years and years, so you've played them a lot. You truly understand the failings and the opportunity. I play Nico. I used to play her a lot, actually, and I was just like, at the end of the day, I was like, this character isn't... I want to have fun, and she's not letting me, right? I want to do all these things, and I want to trick people, I want to catch people, and then I just can't, right? And she's still fun, she's still...
I played against one Nico ever in my life, out of all the Nico mains, even like dog shit lightning, etc., etc. Bro, I played against a Nico, only one. He's like Masters, 200 LP. And the guy knew how to use her passive, and it was so fucking annoying. Like, it was actually driving me crazy. And he wasn't even using abilities, just the way he was using his passive was one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen. I've never played against one again like that, because they all like don't even know that their passive exists. But I feel like people didn't even put the time in to limit test her passive.
Fine, but she could be so much more.
That type of message is what we want to have for Midscopes, which is, it's not about problems, it's not about meeting a schedule or stuff like that. It's really about finding a fantasy and seeing if we can enhance that for the players, right? Yeah. That's what a Midscope is.
And sometimes like a Midscope can come from like, you know, just years of players telling us something. There's a lot of Swain players who, for a few years after his rework, were like, hey, I want to play this guy mid, and I feel like I can't play him mid. And he was powerful mid in terms of win rate, but that didn't mean he felt powerful or that he was super fun there. And we would constantly have Swain players telling us, it's like, hey, yeah, I can play this guy support. He's a cool support, but what about mid lane? I want that mid Swain back. And that was actually, I think, one of the inspirations for the work that ended up being done to Swain.
I think it's important to note that it's not other players who might like Swain. It's Swain players who feel like their character isn't working for them. The goal of Midscopes isn't make a character more popular. Like, everyone will play this character. It's the players who love this character actually feel like the character is working for them.
I think there's probably a question of like, you've done Silas, you've done Tahm Kench, you've done Sona, Xin Why are you calling these things Midscopes now? Like, what's the point of that? By saying, hey, we're doing this project, they're called Midscopes. This is the amount of resources they need. We can plan for them ahead of time so that when a designer, like say Tim, is like, hey, I want to do a Syndra change, but it's going to need a new queue. Instead of us saying to Tim, hey, you can't do that, we don't have any resources to make a new queue, we can say, okay, we can plan for that. We can slot that in, and then we'll get it out to players in 2 months.
What does it mean?
Now that we've covered about what Midscopes are and how we pick them out and what we want to do, what can players expect in 2023 for Midscopes?
Like resources? Does he mean like we don't have enough like people to work on it?
Midscopes.
This isn't set in stone right now, but it's something we'd like to work up to. Is
what are there
long term,
3,000
we could be shipping a Midscope, say, once every 2 months. Then we could do things like put out a Midscope roadmap for players, say, hey, here's the Midscopes we're thinking about this year, and set better expectations for like maybe your character could get one. I think one thing that can be rough as a League of Legends player is if you think your character needs an update, it might be years before they actually get it. But with Midscopes, they succeed similar to a VGU in like revitalizing the champion without necessarily taking all that extra time, which means we can do more of them.
So talking about expectations before we end, do you want to give us a sneak peek on what Nicos Midscope is going to be about?
Leak Nico, where is she?
Well, I can give, so there's a lot of things going on in Nico, but I can give the one sneak peek, which is her passive, instead of just turning to other champions, is now other things, anything. She can turn into a plant, she can turn into a demon mushroom, she can turn into a minion, a monster, and a champion.
Can she turn into a better teammate?
See, okay.
No, she'll actually probably be a worse teammate.
Okay, but look, see, that's gonna be really fucking annoying. But it's not the worst. But bro, like I said, her just doing champions was so fine. People just never put the time in to do it. Like some people would like the jungle would go off screen and they come back and it'd be the Nico. Like it's not even bad, but that's something. Like, I'm not saying this is a terrible change, but it's just a blatant buff. Obviously, she's a complete buff.
Core gameplay mechanic in League. All right, so you have a Nico that turns into wards, literally, coming to a rift near you. Hopefully soon, TM. But that's all we have for today. Thanks for hanging out with us, and thanks for playing with us on the rift.
Enjoy your rank climbs.
Thank you.
You.